So as Steve mentioned, my name's Tom. I'm from Audio-Technica. We are the distributor for Allen Heath in the UK. Today we're going to split it into two halves mainly. The first half is kind of a bit of history about Allen Heath, how we got to dLive and stuff like that. And then the second half we'll go into more detail about the dLive specifically, and then we'll also have a look at the Avantis as well. Any questions throughout just shout out, that's fine. Also, in an ideal world, we'd have consoles for everyone, so we'd go on all the way through. You'd be able to follow me as I go through stuff. Obviously, there's quite a lot of you here, so that's not going to be possible. So any breaks, when you go for tea and coffee and stuff like that, feel free to go on any of the desks. There's multi-track running on all of them. There's one at the back, and then these three here. So get hands on, just do some mixing and stuff like that. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so let's start. So the first bit is just about kind of why dLive came about. You'll see a lot of the stuff from previous Allen Heath consoles has kind of come through to dLive. So it first started out back in 1969. It wasn't Mr. Allen and Mr. Heath. It's a previous company that was, I think they were ball bearings. They just bought the company, took the name over. So there's them three guys there. The Mod 1 and Mod 2 consoles was using quad panning, so it had a joystick. This obviously our analog desks. It was so you could pan it, put speakers in each corner of the room, and that was on the Dark Side of the Moon, soft Pink Floyd. And then 1977 was the first discrete op-amp technology. This is then when Allen Heath moved down to Cornwall, which is where they started today. So manufacturing for all these consoles does happen over in China, but all the R&D stuff is still down in Cornwall. The team is, I think there's over 100 people now doing R&D down there. Where are we? There we go. So in 1996 is when the first digital stuff started coming about. Obviously these days that's primarily Allen Heath's focus. You'll see there that the digital team started to double then. And this is what's progressed on now. They still do like the Z consoles and stuff like that, so there's still some analog stuff in there, but it's primarily digital now. You'll see the Icon series, so digital integrated effects and the DSP as well. So the integrated effects is obviously now common throughout all desks, but that started back then, right through to the Q series, the SQ, and up to the dLive and Avantis. The IDR, so the IDR, I don't know if any of you guys are into install stuff. We now have the AHM, which I don't have with me today, but basically a lot of the stuff in the IDR has followed on. So things like the IO expansion of the Cat5, you'll see with our desks, all the dLive stuff, this is how all this connects now. A full Allen Heath integrated system is all over Cat5 these days. Things like the online and offline software, so dLive Director, Avantis Director, AHM System Manager and stuff like that. So you'll see right back in 2002, some of the ideas that are kind of commonplace were still featured. Again, so the digital team doubles again, and then the iLive. Did we have any iLive users in here? Yeah. You'll see, I don't know how familiar you are if you are on the dLive now, but a lot of the layout and stuff, a lot of the effects will look familiar from the iLive. And again, the concept of the MixRack being the brain and the surface just being the controller, that is a heritage thing from the iLive. GLD compact, so the GLD, what Allen Heath tend to do is kind of have three consoles. So at the moment it's the SQ, then it goes to the Avantis, into the dLive in terms of how much processing they're capable of. Back from 2005 to 2011 it was the Q series, which was like kind of the SQ. The GLD is now what is effectively the Avantis, and the iLive is obviously the dLive. So the Q series, when that was initially released, when the SQ was initially released, there was kind of the thought that the Q would kind of slowly die out, but it's still one of the most popular desks that Allen Heath sell. Particularly small churches and things like that, they like the simplicity of it. It's two layers, it's an input layer and an output layer. It's a digital desk laid out as analog as possible. It's quite hard to get lost on a Q desk. Some people will in churches, but it's still very much popular today. And then 2015 is where the dLive first came out. So there's been obviously multiple versions of firmware and things like that, but that was the original concept idea. And there has been a couple of additions to the range as well, so like the CTI and stuff, which I'll go into in a second. But a lot of the stuff from 2015 is still kind of carried over. And then the SQ came 2017, and then the Avantis, which is the most recent console, was 2019. And again, the HM 2020. I won't go too much into that, it's very much an install thing. But they all integrate with one another and stuff like that. So that's the Allen Heath factory down in Cornwall. Like I say, so the R&D is still down there, sales and marketing, stuff like that. All happens up there, so all the videos you see online with like Jack and stuff, all the tutorials, all the webinars, stuff like that, that's all done down in Cornwall. I think I've got some numbers here, but I think these have changed. But there's different R&D specialists for each product. So we have product specialists for dLive, we have some designers for AHM and stuff like that, and the regional sales and support. So we're doing the training today because we do the distribution in the UK. However, you can still contact Allen Heath for support, you can contact us for support. And there's also links to other distribution around the world. So if you are touring with Allen Heath products, these guys can point you in the right direction, or myself can point you in the right direction if you get stuck in America without a desk, stuff like that. Allen Heath is part of Audio-Technica group, so there's a few companies working underneath that. So Digico, SSL, the most recent Slate Digital as well. Don't ask me about plugins because that's a discussion that's up in the air at the moment. I don't know what's going on with that. Calrec and Digigrid, they are still very much separate. So as you saw, the Allen Heath factory is remaining down in Cornwall, different to Calrec's obviously up here somewhere. But they do sometimes share information between them. So where it has been useful, you may know the classic chip shortage of the last year, which has meant that it's been very difficult to get consoles. So it's been nice having the Audio-Technica group to kind of come together and buy in bulk, so we can still manufacture some things.